Again, the question number fifth on para summary. So let's read the passage to understand the summary in a better manner. So it says that in sociology, the concept of, I can say here that the concept, so in sociology, the concept of othering elucidates the integrate process through which societal groups are demarcated and hierarchized. Right. So in sociology, the concept of othering, so others, right, elucidate the integrate process through which the societal groups are demarcated and hierarchized. Essentially, it constitutes the mechanism wherein dominant groups ensconced in their socio-cultural power delineate and maintain their superiority by marginalizing and devaluating the others. So it says that what happens. So the socio-cultural part, they delineate and maintain their superiority by marginalizing and devaluing the others. This phenomenon is not an insular act, but a constituent of larger socio-political structures that perpetuate disparities and social exclusion, asserts Dr. Adrian Park, a preeminent sociologist. So he says that this phenomenon is not an insular act, but a constituent of a larger political structure. However, it is imperative to comprehend that othering is a mutable process susceptible to contestation and change. Subjugated groups, through resistance and self-assertion, can challenge their marginalization, underscoring fluidity of social identities and hierarchies, right? So basically, we can say that this particular passage describes the sociological concept of othering, which refers to the process through which you can say the socio-cultural groups, okay, or the societal groups, they are actually differentiated and they are hierarchized, right? Now, it also in this part of it, it also highlights that how those people, the dominant groups, the socio-cultural power groups, okay, they use this process to maintain their superiority by, you can say, the marginalizing and devaluing the other, right? And then they say that this othering process is also connected to a larger social political structures that perpetuate social disparities and social exclusion. And then this passage also emphasizes that othering is a kind of a mutable process. Okay. So it's a mutable process and it is subject to challenge and change. So with marginalized groups or the subjugated groups, okay, so they can challenge their marginalization, which is elucidating the or illustrating the fluidity of social identities and hierarchies. So this is basically the passage. So let's see the option. So the correct answer here is option number one. Now, why option one is correct answer? Let's read it. So Dr. Adrian Park's exploration of othering. So we have this Dr. Adrian Park. Exploration of othering in sociology underlines its role in forming and hierarchizing society groups. So it's correct, okay? Its entanglement with the socio-political structure. So we have this perpetuating disparities and social exclusion. So we have this part here. And its mutable nature, yes, it is here, allowing marginalized groups to resist and redefine their status, thus highlighting the fluidity of social identity. So absolutely correct. Okay. So it captures the role of otherings in the formation and hierarchization of you can say the societal group, its connection with the socio-political cultural structures that sustains disparities and social exclusion, and the mutable nature of othering that allows marginalized groups to challenge their status, which emphasizes the fluidity of social identity. So it's cover almost all the points. Now let's see what is the problem with the other. Now the sociological concept of othering as detailed by Dr. Park, okay, I can see here, no, Dr. Park's exploration of othering in sociology. Now the sociological concept as detailed by Dr. Park, okay, but okay, anyways, encapsulates the classification and ranking of societal groups by dominant identities, its linkage to broader socio-political structure causing social exclusion and inequalities, and its stable aspect. Okay, the term stable aspect is inaccurate, okay, as it contradicts the passage emphasis on the mutable or changeable nature of othering, right? So the passage clearly states that othering is susceptible to change, okay, to be challenged, right? And then it says that it underscores the fluidity of social identity and hierarchy, right? But it says that it's a stable aspect, so that makes it incorrect. Now, in Dr. Park's examination of othering, he illuminates the process through which dominant groups systematically stigmatized other, the phenomenon's association with socio-political, cultural, reinforcing disparities, and the changeability of othering that empowers marginalized groups to challenge their status and underscored the dynamism of social identities. Now, option three is incorrect primarily to the term, you can say this term, systematically stigmatized others. Okay. So, while the passage does describe a process of marginalization and devaluation, this which is being carried by you can say a social cultural group, a social cultural power, or maybe you can say a dominant group, but it does not specify that this process is systematic or it involves kind of a stigmatization. So this is something that you are inferring based on it, but the passage does not talk about it. Okay. And the language of this option also distorts the original message of the passage by introducing a level of, you can say, organized intentionally. So it's written, no? So in Dr. Spark examination, he illuminates the process through which dominant groups systematically stigmatize others, the phenomenon's association with the socio-political structure reinforcing disparities and changeability of othering that empowers marginalized group to change their status, underscore the dynamic of it. So the systemic is definitely a problem. Okay, so systematic is something which is done intentionally. Okay, but whether it is being done intentionally, and we cannot say that. Okay, and then stigmatized, are they stigmatized? So it's a different form of negative treatment that was not actually a part of the original discussion. Now let's see what is the problem with the option number 4. So option number 4 says that Dr. Spark's explanation of othering underscores the role of dominant groups in reinforcing their preeminence, the phenomenon's integration with overarching structures perpetuating social exclusion, which allows marginalized groups to resist and contest their subordination, revealing the fluidity and mutable nature of social hierarchies. Now, this choice incorrectly suggests that this phenomenon's integration with overarching structures. Okay, so where is all these things even mentioned? So perpetuating social exclusion, so this is not mentioned. Okay, so what is allow is that then the marginal groups, they resist. Okay, in fact the passage says that this is a mutable nature of othering that empowers marginalized groups to challenge their status. This sort of that Dr. Spark's explanation of othering underscored the role of dominant groups in informing the phenomenon's integration with overarching structure perpetuating social exclusion. So this sort of integration, or you can say, is it's not the case. Okay, I mean, like, they resist. So why they resist is basically because of the mutable nature of the process. Okay, they don't resist because of the perpetuation of social exclusion. Instead, it's the response to a facilitated by the changeability of the othering process that is basically the mutable. So that is not the case. So it's very clear that the first is an answer. Maybe the big summaries would have given you trouble, but sometimes with the big summaries, I mean, like, it's easy for you to pick up in case if you are able to understand the passage.